Okay, you are all set.
All right, good morning and welcome to the April 10th, 2025 Connecticut Paid Leave Board of Directors meeting. I would like to call the meeting to order. It is 9:02 a.m. Amber, could you take attendance, please?
Yes, thank you. Ava Bermuda Zimmerman,
Present.
Isha Canada.
Present.
Adrian Cochran will not be joining us today. Andrea Comer,
Present.
Sheila Hummel,
Present.
Ellen McKitterick,
Present.
Eleanor Michael,
Present.
David Salazar Austin,
Present.
John Scott.
Here.
Good morning, John.
Morning.
Mike Soltis,
Present.
Molly Weston Williamson. I don't believe Molly has joined us just yet. I'll circle back in a moment. Holly Williams,
Present.
Janae Woods Weber,
Present.
Justin Zartman.
Present.
And circling back, Molly Weston Williamson.
Present.
Good morning, Molly. Thank you all. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you so much, Amber. And I would like to thank the members of the public for joining us for this morning, for this meeting. All right. Do we have any members of the legislature in attendance today?
Not this morning.
Okay, I'm not seeing any. Thanks, Erin. All right, and then Erin, I think you have the next item on the agenda.
Yes, thank you. So this item is actually to introduce you. Eleanor Michael is the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Administrative Services. She is Commissioner Gilman's designee to the board. So we'd like to welcome Eleanor for being here today. Just for the purposes of the public, the board already knows this, but our chairperson, Fran Pastore, has reluctantly stepped down from the board. There's a lot going on in the world of WBDC that she needs to focus her attention on. So at the end of March, she did step down. We wish Fran all the best and absolutely thank her for her dedication to the board over the last 5 years. And we are working with leadership with regard to her appointment. But in the meantime, Eleanor will be leading the board meetings.
Great, thanks so much for the introduction, Erin, and thank you to Commissioner Gilman for the opportunity to serve as her designee on the board. I look forward to working with this esteemed group of board members as well as the Connecticut Paid Leave staff to further the important mission of the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority. Next up, I'd like to ask for a review of the February 13th, 2025 meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or discussion of the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, do we have a second? All right, thanks, Andrea. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? And any abstentions today?
I abstain.
Okay. The motion carries. Moving on to our next item, Jessica, would you like to provide the outreach and engagement update, please? Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Eleanor.
Morning.
Share my screen. Oh, can I have sharing ability, please? Thank you.
It's taking its time.
My computer is this morning too, for some reason.
Yeah. Bear with me for just a second, Jess. I'm going to try again. Okay.
Thank you, Amber.
We can see your screen. Thanks, Jess.
Great, thank you. All right, so our quarterly update for outreach and engagement. I wanted to start with an events update. I shared some of these in January when we did our last update, but we have really ramped up now that we're getting into event season. So I won't go through these line by line, but just wanted to highlight a couple of things. that we've had going on. So we've done a few events with the CBIA and the SBA, so continuing our outreach to the business community. We also just this past weekend participated in the community baby shower put on by Lucinda's House, which was held at CCSU in New Britain, which was a great event, made not only a lot of connections with the community, but also with other community groups that Nicole will be following up with to enhance our community partnerships. We also have a couple of new events that we've not participated in before, and I just wanted to publicly thank Ava for sending these our way. The New Haven Family Stroll and Festival and the Latinas Empower Symposium, which are both coming up in May. So thank you, Ava, for sharing those. And as a reminder, if you know of any events that you think would be a good fit for us, please send them my way because we are always looking for new ways to reach the community. We've had Erin pretty busy out there doing media appearances. So in February, she appeared both on WFSB and WTNH in their long form interview shows. Both of those are on our YouTube page if you'd like to go back and watch them. But as always, Erin has done a fabulous job representing our program and making it really easy to understand for workers in Connecticut. So we're glad that we're able to continue to have her out there talking about the program. We've also been busy with radio interviews. I wanted to highlight that Nicole this week did an interview that aired on WNHH, New Haven's community radio station, with Norma Rodriguez Reyes, who is our representative from La Voz Hispana, which is a publication. But Norma also has a radio show. And so this was a Spanish language interview. Nicole did a fabulous job. The interview is available on YouTube if you'd like to watch it. And then also this week, Erin interviewed on a show called Business Connections on WILI, which is a station out of Willimantic. So this was the result of our partnership with one of our community education coordinators, the Windham Chamber of Commerce. This is their show, and so they invited Erin on. And lucky for us, they had a cancellation, so Erin had the whole hour to talk about Connecticut paid leave, which was fabulous. So as soon as that interview is available, we'll be posting it to our YouTube page as well. I also wanted to highlight something that we've been working on. We shared this with the Outreach and Engagement Committee and now wanted to make the full board aware of it. So we've been working with an organization called MDRC. They are a nonprofit, nonpartisan research organization, and their overarching mission is to evaluate policies and programs in the social space to help provide feedback to improve processes, break down barriers to access. So the goal of the project is they are going to conduct surveys and research focus groups on our behalf. We're focusing on folks who did not submit all of their documentation, which resulted in a denial of their claim. So our goal is to really delve into why people are not submitting all of their documentation, and then from there, figure out what kind of process improvements or additional outreach and education efforts and materials we can come up with that will help to lessen that that portion of people that do not submit all of their documents. We are going to be doing the focus groups both in English and Spanish. And when I say we're working closely with MDRC, but they will be conducting this. They have an internal review board that will ensure that this is all done in compliance with research standards. So we will be helping to facilitate in terms of identifying folks for them to reach out to, but then they'll sort of take it from there. So it will really be separate from us. Obviously, no confusion about if someone's claim, depends on if they participate, nothing like that. So we're working really closely with them to make sure that this goes smoothly. And we'll be excited to see what the feedback is and to share that with you once the research is completed. I wanted to give a quick podcast update. Nancy is, as always, very busy producing 2 podcasts a month. We've just hit over 7,000 downloads since inception, which I'm super excited about. And she just published her 76th episode. February had the highest total downloads at over 550. So great to see that it's continuing to grow. We're continuing to push it out on social media. Our partners who appear on the podcast push it out on their social media and through their newsletters as well. And just a snapshot of some of the different topics that we've had and guests that we've had featured. recently, everything from Rep. Corey Paris speaking about his own personal health journeys and how paid leave was helpful to him, to the Connecticut Burn Center, an author who wrote a book about her daughter and her challenges and recovery after a traumatic brain injury. So Nancy's really doing a fabulous job, keeping it interesting and really touching on all the different aspects of reasons folks might use the paid leave program. Now, I wanted to share with you 2 new versions of our commercial. So you may have seen these. They just went live about a week or 2 ago. But hopefully, I clicked the share sound button. So let's hope that this plays the way it's supposed to. And let's see. Sorry to make you see all my screens, but I did try to be prepared to share this.
How is your mother? She's leaving the hospital tomorrow. Now we just have to take care of her, bring her to her appointments, and keep up with work.
You need to use Connecticut Pay Leave.
What's that?
You can get income replacement benefits while taking care of a relative. It even offers intermittent leave and reduced casual leave for things like taking your mother to the doctor. Here, check it out.
Connecticut Paid Leave gives you the time you need. Learn more at connecticutpaidleave.org.
That's one version, and that version we also have in Spanish. And then here is another version.
Surgery's Friday. Not looking forward to missing so much work.
Have you applied for Connecticut Paid Leave?
What's that?
It provides income replacement when you miss work for serious health reasons. It kept some money coming in when I was recovering from my own surgery, and when I needed some time off for physical therapy and follow-up appointments.
How do I apply?
You could apply online. Look.
Connecticut Paid Leave gives you the time you need. Learn more at connecticutpaidleave.org.
So those are our 2 new commercials. We wanted to focus on 2 of the big reasons that people use the program, obviously serious health condition and caregiving. We've had a lot of great commercials focused on childbirth and bonding, which we love, but we wanted to make sure that we focused on the other big reasons as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to let you all know that we have just posted for a seasonal outreach and engagement worker to join our team from June through October of this year to help us with events and in-person outreach. 2 of our team members are going to be going on leave late June, July timeframe. So we wanted to just make sure that we can maintain the level of community engagement that we've had. And so that's why we've posted this. So if you are so inclined to share it with your networks or anyone you think might be a great fit, I would appreciate that very much. And I am going to stop sharing and happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Jessica, for that great update. That seems like the outreach team has been super busy between the podcast and the commercials and everything that you're doing, all of the events, and Erin appearing on all these television appearances. So thank you so much for that update. Are there any questions? All right. Seeing none. Speaking of update, I think the legislature is in full swing, as we all know. Maddie, can you please give us the legislative update at this time?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. Great, so I have a brief legislative update for you all this morning. I can change my slide, sorry. So as you know, the legislative session is well underway. We have a little bit under 2 months left until they adjourn. One bill we're following closely this session is Senate Bill 1427. This bill came from the Labor Committee chairs, and it's an act expanding paid family and medical leave insurance program benefits to certain school employees. Just a reminder that currently employees of local or regional boards of education are not covered under Connecticut paid leave unless their union collectively bargains to participate. Private school employees are also not covered, but they are without the option to bargain to participate in. Erin testified in support of the bill on March 4th at its public hearing in the Labor Committee. I've linked her testimony here and the recording of the hearing just in case you're interested in watching. An amended version of Senate Bill 1427 was passed by the Labor Committee last month before their deadline. And the amended language would cover public and private elementary and secondary school employees under Connecticut paid leave and Connecticut FMLA if their position does not require a certification or a license. This includes paraeducators, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, library aides, and other workers. It does not include teachers. An example under this language could be if a paraeducator holds a teaching certification for any reason, they would still be covered by Connecticut paid leave and Connecticut FMLA if the bill passes, because their job title as a paraeducator does not require them to hold a certification. Now we're waiting on next steps for the bill. We're also continuing to monitor several other bills that could either impact our outreach work or our overall operations. We're also keeping an eye on amendments, especially as we head towards the end of session. I also have a few additional updates to share with you all. First, over the past few months, we've worked on a collaboration with the Judicial Branch Office of Victim Services Victim Compensation Program. You might remember that Public Act 24.5 that was passed last session allows victims of crime to receive Connecticut paid leave and victims compensation concurrently, so long as the total benefit is not more than the victim's regular pay. The law took effect on October 1st of last year, and it's an important change for victims of crime who might qualify for both of our programs. So to raise awareness of this change and in recognition of National Crime Victims' Rights Week from April 7th through the 12th, Erin co-authored an op-ed with Office of Victim Services Deputy Director Mark Pelka. The op-ed was published today in the Connecticut Mirror. Mark and his colleague will also be the guest on an upcoming episode of the Paid Leave podcast with Nancy, which is exciting. Lastly, I just have a quick update on our legislator newsletter, which is sent monthly, and it includes different updates about our program, links to recent media, such as an episode of the Paid Leave podcast, or our 5 Minutes of Impact series. It also regularly includes a link to our map that shows the number of claims by town that's updated regularly. So far in 2025, we've seen a really high open rate for each month's newsletter, especially in March, which had a 95% open rate. This tells us that legislators, their staff, other individuals who work in and around the Capitol are interested in our work and staying up to date. And we're continuing to look for ways to improve even more and gain a better engagement and communication with our legislative audience. That's all for me. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Maddie. Is there a way for members of the board to sign up for that legislative newsletter as well so that we can track what's going on?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be in touch. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. In a moment, I'll ask the board for a motion to enter executive session. Our reason for executive session is to enable the authority staff to brief the board on the responses to the RFP for actuarial services. Executive session is necessary because the public interest in the disclosure of such responses is outweighed by the public interest in the confidentiality of the responses. Before we have a motion, I have a few instructions. We need an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the voting members present at this meeting to go into this executive session. When entering the executive session, you will leave the Zoom meeting and you will need to use the Microsoft Teams link that Amber sent with the agenda for the executive session. Our Zoom link will remain open when we return. No voting is to occur during the executive session. When the executive session is over, close your Teams link and return to the regular meeting using the Zoom link on the agenda. When all board members have returned from executive session, our regular meeting will resume. Now, can I ask the board for a motion to enter the executive session for the purposes of discussing the responses to the RFP for actuarial services and to formally invite authority staff Joe Kale, Erin Chiquette, Dave Marcone, Locke Foe, and John Simonetti to join the board in executive session?
So moved.
All right, a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions today? Okay, hearing none, the motion carries. It is now 9:21 a.m. We will go into the executive session. Thanks so much, everyone.
Stephanie, from here, we can go to slideshow and present from the current slide. Perfect. Thank you so much. Beth, we can drop this slide now. Thank you.
Gonna take a moment to make sure that everybody made their way back from executive session. Looks like we got everybody.
All right,
Amber?
thanks, Erin.
Back, Erin.
Okay, you are pinned, Amber, so if you can unpin yourself. Okay, Eleanor, I think we can get started back in session.
All right, thanks so much. Okay, may I have a motion to authorize the authority staff to negotiate and execute the contract with the authority's proposed vendor?
So moved. Eva?
Thank you.
I'll second. Isha.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Isha.
Thank you so much. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions today? All right, thank you so much. The motion carries. Moving on to the next item in our agenda, we have the committee reports. Mike, can you please provide the policy and personnel report?
Yes, good morning. Our committee did not meet in April. We meet every other month. And our next meeting will be on May 6th.
Okay, easy enough. Thank you so much, Mike. And Molly, can you provide the outreach and engagement report?
Sure. We met in March and we'll meet again in May, but we already got the outreach and engagement update from Jessica and Maddie earlier, so I think we're well covered.
Absolutely, I agree. Thanks, Molly. All right, and then I understand Holly had to leave a little early today, and so Dave is going to provide the Finance and Audit Committee report.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Commissioner, and again, welcome.
Thank
So
you.
the finance committee did meet, so we do. So I will have a presentation shortly, but we did meet last month, and I provided an update on the proposed draft for the fiscal year 2025 through 2026 budget. And so the Finance and Audit Committee will review that over the next month for discussion at our next meeting, which is on April 23rd. And then after that, we'll go to the board at the May meeting. I also presented a review of the financials, which I will now turn over to myself for presentation.
We can see your screen.
Thank you very much. Sorry, it took me a second. When you switch platforms, you got to remember where the buttons are. So we are going over the results for the month of and year to date for February. So I will, as usual, start with the operating account. Our results for the month of February were a negative $958,000. That was $445,000 better than budget. Was the typical expenses for the month: payroll, outreach, contact center. So nothing unusual there in terms of significant expenses. Year to date, our results were $1.6 million. That is a negative $1.4 million compared to budget. But if you remember from last month, we did not transfer $5 million for the latest quarter for administrative fees because we had enough money in the operating reserves already. So that's actually a good thing. But that's why there's a negative variance there. In terms of expenses, though, our $8.8 million year to date of expenses is almost $3.4 million ahead of budget. So we are in a good place right now for the operating account. For bond money, we didn't spend any this month, so not much to report there. we've used $720,000 of our bond money year to date. And so that gives us about an $80,000 positive variance through the month of February. So since we didn't spend any money this month, our available bond money remains at just over $1.6 million to date. Moving on, if my screen will cooperate. There we go. We'll talk about the contribution activity for the month of February. So our activity for the month was a negative $32.5 million. That resulted in a negative $3.5 million variance. As has been the case, the biggest driver of that negative variance was benefits paid. We are paying out more than we had budgeted about a year ago because of the increased activity that we've had. So that resulted in a negative $4.4 million variance for the month. Our benefits paid for the month, like I said, was almost 33.9. That is an average run rate of $8.5 million per week. That has picked up from January last month, where it was $8 million. And it's about on par with the December run rate. We do see some seasonality in the benefit numbers around December and January, the holiday season, and then it starts picking up again in late January into February. And in fact, we are seeing that activity continue to be at the higher level in March. Positive variances for all the other numbers. Our contribution revenue was $675 million. Our fund recovery efforts are still successful. We're ahead of budget by almost $400,000. I will point out our benefit administrative fee is now $1,957,000 a month. That did go up because of a 3% price increase that was allowed in the contract. So that'll be the number going forward for the next few months. But we still have a positive budget variance for that. So year to date, our activity is over $33.5 million. That is a negative $23 million variance. And again, it is because of the increased benefits paid activity that we've seen. But all the other lines have been positive, like they were for the month of February, including the $5 million positive variance here for the administrative fee. So where you saw it was negative on operating, it's positive in the contributions. The contribution fund itself had just under $600 million as of the end of February. So we still have a reserve available for future benefit payments, as the fund was intended to have. Quick preview for the month of March. Not much really unusual. We had $1.1 million of operating expenses. The typical categories here, so I won't go into detail there, but nothing unusual there. Our benefits paid for the month of March were $35.2 million. That is an $8.8 million run rate. So again, we are seeing increased activity that was more akin to a few months ago before we saw the seasonality start to decrease it in the December-January timeframe. In terms of money coming in, contributions were $679,000. A typical low month, as most employers like to pay during the grace period month, which will be in April. And our investment income was at $2.1 million. We are still earning about 4.4% in the short-term investment fund. Projecting where we're going to be at the end of the year for our operating account, we expect to be at a net activity of just over $1.5 million. That is $357,000 less than we budgeted. But again, when you consider that we didn't transfer $5 million for the administrative fee because we had enough in the operating reserves, That's pretty good because we expect our operating expenses to be at 14.1, which is a $4.3 million positive variance. And our projection for June 2025 for the contribution activity, we expect to be at $14.5 million. Again, that is $48.5 million lower than budget. But again, we did see a market increase in benefits paid that happened after we had finalized the budget. So we did update the benefits paid to reflect that increased activity. And that still results in a positive number for the end of the year. And we do expect the trust fund to be at about $580 million by the end of the fiscal year. So that's the latest financial update. I am happy to take any questions at this time.
All right, thank you so much, Dave. Any questions for Dave? All right. Seeing none, thank you again. And we'll move on to Erin for the CEO report.
Thank you so much. While I go ahead and share my screen, I just do want to remind everyone that statements of financial interest are due on or before March 1st. Those are filed online. We have shared the link to everyone previously, but if you need us to resend it, we will happily do that. All right. Let me get into slideshow mode. So I wanted to take this opportunity to give you an update on where I am in terms of my annual goals. We talk a lot about the agency, but I don't always talk about myself. So I'm going to do that today. When you all met with Fran and Mike, and when Mike met with me at the end of 2024, I was given a couple of pointed areas of feedback. First, I really do need to focus on developing a succession plan for both my position and other leadership roles in the authority. I really don't want to go anywhere. I really like this job, but from a risk management perspective and from a growth mindset, we really need to kind of think through what that looks like for the organization. The other piece was to expand external presence both in-state and nationally to elevate both my influence and the authority's profile. And I was given the recommendation to work with an executive coach to help achieve these goals and help the agency. So I've done that with the recommendations from Fran and Mike. I met with a few folks and selected Harris Ginsburg. So he and I work together, and he's been helping me kind of focus on recognizing that visibility is not vanity, and so that putting myself into these positions is actually benefiting the authority. So for my 2025 goals, again, implementing that succession plan, including identifying growth opportunities for the staff as a whole. I talked about this a little bit at the Policy and Personnel Committee meeting in March when we met at the beginning of the month before the last board meeting. We're really looking at creating growth opportunities for the staff, adding to the depth of the organization. We really grew horizontally, and now is a time for us to grow vertically and create some promotional opportunities. Again, expanding the external presence of the authority and myself to really elevate the authority. Of course, our business is claims administration, so overseeing the selection and implementation of that TPA is an important part of 2025, and overseeing expanded support for Connecticut employers. We have been supporting Connecticut employers, but we really want to take this opportunity to expand and provide some more, to rededicate ourselves to that goal. So just briefly what I've been doing along these lines, I'm pleased to announce that I have expanded Jess's role. So she has been promoted to our Chief Experience Officer. And one of the new responsibilities that Jess has will be really to focus on that employer experience as well. After a lot of thought and analysis, really don't need a COO at this agency, but the experience of our constituents is primary. And so creating this role as the Chief Experience Officer, I think, is important. So congratulations to Jess for that. As I had disclosed last month, Lori Dixon retired. Lori had been with us from the beginning. She helped set up the sort of IT foundation of our program. We had an internal agency promotional opportunity, and I'm pleased to announce that Matt Bielowski has been promoted to our IT director. Matt has been with us since March of 2021. Yeah, it was 2021. And I have every confidence in the world that he will do a great job. I've been working with each of my direct reports on the senior leadership team to identify and develop both areas that I can delegate to them and opportunities for promotion for both them and their staff. And so that's something that we're continuing to work on. We've had a few promotions already with promotions for Walter, Shelley, and Amy that took place in February. And we're looking to identify other areas again where we can deepen the program and make sure that we have sort of opportunities for everybody as well as expanding as necessary. In order to expand our external presence, I'm trying to deepen my relationships both within Connecticut and nationally, in addition to the things that we've already talked about, like the press and working with the Connecticut legislature. I'm working to deepen relationships within Connecticut with different organizations and different partners. I really like to thank Nicole for helping identify some of those organizations and setting up those meetings. I continue to work with leaders of other paid leave states. We have a really great relationship. It started as an informal network. We now are working with the National Association of State Workforce Agencies, which I'm able to participate in sort of through the good graces of the Department of Labor, which is the statutory participant of NASWA. And I'm working on different committees within NASWA, or within the NASWA paid leave work group. I'm also working to deepen relationships with Connecticut's federal delegation. They are a bit busy these days, and we are not trying to divert their attention, but we really want to make sure that they know what's going on and make sure that they know that we're available in connection with paid leave and related topics. Additionally, I've been seeking opportunities to demonstrate thought leadership. I was able to participate in Dan Schwartz's podcast. For those of you in the employment law biz, you know Dan's name. He was one of the earliest bloggers and also has From Lawyer to Employer podcast. I was also able to participate in a more national podcast. Josh Seidman works at Safe Arts Shaw, and I had a 2-part podcast with him in February and March. I've been exploring opportunities to present at both local and national organizations and conferences. Really want to talk not just about Connecticut's experience, but create opportunities to talk about paid leave, FMLA, how employers can work with and improve their employees' experiences using the Connecticut experience, but not necessarily having it be the nuts and bolts of how Connecticut paid leave works. Similarly, I've been working on developing pitches for articles, just again, trying to expand that presence that Connecticut has. We're doing a lot of great things here. We want to tell people about it. And finally, we continue to provide feedback on federal legislation. The chances of federal paid leave programs seem to be, again, on the back burner, but there is still work happening on the federal side, and we're participating in that. Again, I should be saying I instead of we, because these are things I am trying to do as well. Selection and implementation of claim administrator. This is sort of old news because we really did most of this last month, But as you know, you accepted our recommendation and authorized us to begin contract negotiations. Those contract negotiations are underway, and we will be making a public announcement once that contract is executed. And finally, that expanded support for Connecticut employers, again, with Jess's new role as Chief Experience Officer. Really, one of the major parts of that role is to prioritize the experience of Connecticut employers. We've been doing a lot with employers. I don't want to underreport what we've been doing, but we really want to reassess and reinvigorate that engagement. Among the things that are happening, we're analyzing the Contact Us data to better understand pain points. So what are the questions that are coming in? How can we better provide information upfront so that they don't have to submit a Contact Us question? How can we improve the Contact Us experience so that they know what to ask so we can respond more quickly and more directly? In addition to this work, we're also working with United Way 211 and our own staff to reassess the responsibilities and workflows to improve those responses. And we will soon be launching a new feature officially in the employer portal that will enable employers to receive reports regarding approvals and denials of employee claims. Right now, when a claim comes in, the employee is required by law to tell the employer that they've filed a claim with us. And when a decision is made, we send an email to the employer notifying them about the outcome of the decision. But that's sort of on a one-off basis, right? So sometimes employers are like, we have too many people, it's really hard to keep track of. Could we please receive a rolled up report? And so we've been working on that. There are a lot of moving parts with that, so it's been quite a work in progress. But we have the processes in place now where we can get clarification from the employer as to which employees within their organizations are authorized to receive this data. We get that attestation, give them access, and they will be able to see a report that shows the employee and the approval denial status, as well as the benefit amount. This is something employers have been asking for, and we're looking forward to being able to launch that in the very, very, very near future. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and welcome any questions. Amber has asked me to clarify that the SFIs are due on May 1st. I don't know what I said, but it meant to say May 1st.
March 1st, but that's okay. We knew what you meant.
I was close.
Thanks, Erin. Any questions for Erin?
Not a question, but just a comment of congratulations to everyone, but in particular to Jessica, who I had, the pleasure of working with and can testify to what an incredibly hard worker and she is, and what a great thought partner she always is, and how committed she is to making sure that this program and the information and the benefits it provides is received across the state. So just kudos.
Thank you, Andrea.
I too want to just make a comment and congratulate Jessica on the new promotion, as well as for the IT director. And thank you, Erin, for sharing the information about your development and goals for the agency. So really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you, Ava. And thank you, Erin. I really liked what you said also at the outset about visibility is not vanity. It seems like you're really taking that to heart and putting yourself out there on behalf of the organization. So we all really appreciate that. That is not an easy thing to do. Any old business today? Seeing none, do we have any new business? Okay. With that, I think that will conclude our meeting today. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions and again for the opportunity to join you and to chair today. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Move to adjourn.
All right, in a second.
Second. I'll second. Isha.
Thank you so much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. It is 10:00 a.m. on the dot and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.